Well, welcome back to Grandma's and Grandpa's Make Do Homestead. Today, Grandma's going to talk about preparing the soil. She's got a lot of good tips on how to save money and really make your soil powerful and able to grow excellent vegetables. So stay tuned. We're glad you're watching.
We're out in the garden, and this is a very belated video. We've already planted some things, and Grandpa's got all the garden beds ready, but we're kind of going to backtrack and show how we get our soil prepared. Preparing the soil is like one of the most important things when you're having a garden. I think the best analogy I can think of is like with your children. So with the garden soil, you prepare it inch by inch, step by step, day by day, year by year. It builds up in its richness year after year. It takes time, it's a process. As far as your children, as you raise them, it's the same with teaching them about God. It's little by little, day by day, year by year. You just enrich them into the love of God and the truth of His Word, and it's just a continual process. So back to that's how it is with the soil. It takes time. And one of the things we like to do on the Make Do farm is make do with what we have for our soil as well. Now when you're starting out a garden, you might have to spend some money, invest some money into buying things to enrich your soil. But once that initial expense is over, you can just see what you have available and use what you can and buy what you need. So I'm going to show you, these are the things Grandpa's worked into the soil this year. Fall leaves, grass clippings, compost, which is our kitchen and garden scraps, coffee grounds, and eggshells. I'll talk about this later. So let's start with the fall leaves. Like I said, everything's worked in already because Grandpa's such a good worker. He got it all done. But every fall, Grandpa gets the leaves in our yard and sucks them up into this thing he has, and it chops them up, and he covers the whole garden in the fall, and it just sits here like a covering like this over the winter. And then they decompose a little. They're all chopped up, and then Grandpa works them in. And he also keeps a pile over by the train tracks, and I can use that throughout the summer as mulch as well. So fall leaves are a real good source of organic material for your garden. I just have a few grass clippings here. We haven't started too much grass cutting yet this year, but we also use grass clippings as a source of nitrogen and other things in the garden. And I use it for mulch on top, and we work it in. Now, compost. We'll go over to our compost bucket. This is scraps from my kitchen and from the garden that I throw in there all during the whole summer, and I don't use it in the summer. It decomposes, and then over the winter it decomposes further, and there's lots of fancy ways to make compost. I just do no work. I throw it in the bucket, let it sit for a season, and this is what we end up with in the spring for our garden. I've already used some of it. There's not much in it, but it's all wet right now. It's oh, look at nice. Look at here, I just pulled it out, a nice, oh, where did he go? There was a big worm in there. Here he is. Nice compost. The eggshells are fine the way they are. They actually in your garden will help deter slugs. So we just used an old, it was actually a bucket we had at our other house for recycling, and Grandpa drilled some holes in it. So easy to throw it in, let it sit, and then I use it in the spring. So far, organic material is leaves from the fall, grass clippings throughout the summer and spring, our own compost. The most fun new thing, we've never tried this before, is coffee grounds. And we found out if we called Starbucks that they have a program to help the home gardener, and they just leave bags of coffee grounds out. We called ahead and they said it's just like you come, and if they have them, you get them. And we got 3 big bags of coffee grounds, and they're already worked in, but I'll show you a little bit. There's a few pieces. They come in these big bags, and coffee grounds are full of potassium, phosphorus, nitrogen. They're good for the garden, and they're all ground up. You just sprinkle them, work them into your garden, but some of them come in like chunks, and they're like this. You just work them into the garden. And the coffee filters are in there too. We just disposed of those. So leaves, grass clippings, compost, coffee grounds, and then eggshells. Now I used a lot of our eggshells for our eggshell planters, but then when I'm done with those, I wash eggshells real good, put them in a bucket, let them dry out like in the garage or something, and then you can sprinkle those in your garden, and then just work all this in, and you've got a nice start. There was one thing I had to buy that I don't have access to though, and that was manure. So in the early spring, Walmart had a sale on organic humus and manure for $1.60 a bag. So we just bought 1 bag for each of these raised beds, and so all this good, rich, organic material in our garden cost us $1.60 a bag, a box. So anyway, that's our tips on preparing your soil in the make-do way. Now Grandpa's just going to take you on a mini tour of what's coming up in our garden, and I think he's going first to the currant bushes.
Well, I just want to show you 3 things this morning that we're pretty proud of this year. These currants are really doing well. I think we've had these for maybe 3 years, and they're finally getting some real good currants on them. So we're looking forward to the harvest of the currants. I don't know if any of you have tried Grandma's currant jelly, but it is delicious. So that's the currants, and as long as we're here, I wanted to show you how good the raspberries are coming. This whole row along the fence here are all raspberries, and they seem like we're going to have a good crop this year. The leaves are all coming in. As a matter of fact, they're kind of growing right into the garden, so they really want to expand. And then last but not least, we have our rhubarb. Now, Grandma's already been in the garden this morning harvesting some of the rhubarb. I think we're going to have a rhubarb custard pie here for Sunday, which I'm especially looking forward to. But that's our rhubarb. So, from Grandma and Grandpa's Make Do Homestead, this is Grandpa signing off.